Welcome to the Florida Bar Podcast, where we highlight the latest trends in law office and law practice management to help you run your law firm. Brought to you by the Florida Bar's Practice Resource Institute. You're listening to Legal Talk Network.
Hello, and welcome to the Florida Bar Podcast, brought to you by the Practice Resource Institute on Legal Talk Network. This is Christine Bilbrey, recording from the 2017 Annual Florida Bar Convention in the Boca Raton Resort in Boca Raton, Florida.
And I'm Jonathan Israel, Director of the Florida Bar's Practice Resource Institute. Thank you for joining us today.
So right now we have Wayne Bell, who was one of our speakers earlier at our CLE here on technology in Boca Raton. And Wayne, you spoke on leveraging technology to boost marketing efforts and productivity. That's a big title.
It is a big title.
But tell our listeners what you do and where you work.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me here today. Basically, what I talked about today was covering the personal side of branding and marketing. You know, a lot of times people forget that there's a personal side to it. So this presentation, I wanted to be able to cover how you can bring the personal side back into marketing again, as well as being able to leverage your time a little bit and get more done in less time.
So what were the most important points? What did you start with when the CLE attendees were there?
Actually, what I did, I went back in time. I wanted to go back and show people and talk about how things used to be. Like back when you used to walk into the local store and be able to have them to know your name and know what you want and know what your family want and everything else. So I started there. And then I took it forward by actually talking about how I used to carry the little baskets of food back home, and they only had just enough for that couple of days or whatever else. Mm-hmm. And I used that to relate it back over to the internet and marketing today. Because when you go to a website, you actually go in there to actually say hello and meet and that kind of thing. So whenever you go to a website, it has a lot of information about you when you come to the website already. So that company or the person who owns that website gets the information from you. And then they deliver the aspects of the website to you, like the little baskets of good and food. Mm-hmm. It's only little bits at a time, and it's called packets. And so I wanted to cover that today, so that way that each one of the attorneys understood that when they talk about SEO and then getting into SEO later on, really what they need to think about is truly representing their brand properly online and in a way that people can take the little nuggets and baskets away from it to be able to use later on.
Okay.
So that's kind of.
And so nowadays everyone has a website.
Yes.
So what do you think is the important thing to grab someone's attention? Because if they're trying to find an attorney, you know, you can click through all the glossy photos and the little bios, but what's going to stand out?
100% is personal. It's really showing what are you into and why do you matter. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times we ask attorneys, say, who are you? One, you have your firm name and your name of who you are. We'll say, why do you matter? Why do you matter to the person who just took their time to come to your website to see what you're about? Mm-hmm. So respect someone else's time when they come to your website by presenting to them what they may want to hear. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times you get the information by knowing where they came from. So if they just came from a surfing site, then maybe you may want to show the personal side that you actually are a surfer and you're into surfing. And maybe you may relate that to your area law. Or if you happen to be into old cars or motorcycles or biking or yoga, you actually speak along those lines so that way people can relate to you. And if they can relate to you and it's relatable, and that's what the key is now with them. And differentiating yourself.
So it's about a human connection.
It really is. It's really bringing the human aspect back to the web and back to people. And that's the reason why we came to the Florida Bar with this and to actually say, we come in to actually help the attorneys to bring their personal side out on the web, because truly, a lot of times it would be selective if they were able to shake someone's hand in person.
Right.
So we want to try to make it to when they hit that home page, it's like shaking your hand, and by the time they finish, I understand a little bit about you, and because I can relate to you, I want you to represent me now.
Yeah, because it's scary. Hiring an attorney can be it's a big step for some people if they've never been in contact with the legal world. So if you feel like you can trust them or you have some common bond like you're talking about. So what does your company do? If someone comes to you, where do you start? Is it an interview process so that you're getting to know them, or?
No, what happens is that because we're using technology, what happens is a lot of times it's all about the mathematics that are taking place on the website. Okay. So even though everything we see is actually driven by codes, hexadecimal codes, the coding, design, and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So what we do is the first thing we want to do is go out and see who are you now? What is your present understanding, and how do people relate to you today? So the very first thing we do is go out and say, well, how's your brand in your local area, in your area of practice, how are you doing in relationship to those other attorneys and other people who may be in your area? And we do a direct one-for-one relationship comparison of the two, and then we devise a plan, an actual roadmap on how we can actually be able to get people to understand your brand better. So it isn't necessarily about us trying to beat another competitor out or beat another law firm out. No, we just want your ideal client to relate to you and be relatable, and then therefore then that's going to give you that type of client.
Okay. Interesting.
So,
well, can you give us some examples of an attorney that you were able to do that very successfully for? Like, what did you put out there that differentiated them from their competitors?
that's a good point. Actually, one of the individuals that I just started working with a few months ago, we found out that he was really into Harley Davidsons. And so actually finding he's into Harley Davidson was kind of like a joke. He showed a picture of him in a suit on a Harley Davidson. I said, hold on, wait a minute. Let's do something about this. So what we ended up doing, we ended up looking to see how many actual websites that were taking, that Harley Davidson riders were going to buy their products, buy their tools, replacements, bags, and things like that. What we started doing, we started placing his articles on those websites. So we had him speak about if you happen to have an accident in the state of Florida on your motorcycle, this is what I would do because I have my own motorcycle. So everything was talking from an aspect of him understanding if he had an accident on his motorcycle, what he would do. Then what happened, they went to the website, the very first picture we have on the website is him on his motorcycle. So now automatically they relate to him and say, oh, this is someone who not only practices law, he looks hard, like he's hardcore, so he can probably represent me pretty well. And then he rides with Harley Davidson, so we probably buzz. So that's bringing that aspect out. So by understanding him as a client, understanding the type of people who may come to his website, and then going to a niche market that his competition can't go to because they aren't Harley riders. So it's not really like they're competing against me. I'm just going and attracting those clients that they know if they have a personal injury situation that they're going to come to you first.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense because at first I was just picturing like I'm searching divorce attorneys and I have a guy on a motorcycle. So I thought that was, so I understand what you're saying. Is it an algorithm or are you just...
Yes, it is. So what happens is once we understand that he's a motorcycle rider, each one of those words, motorcycle rider and everything related to Harley, it actually is understood by Google through mathematics, analytics, and binary numbers and hexadecimal codes and all this math stuff, right?
Okay.
So what we do is we try our best to help the robots understand what the website's saying. So the words may be written in English. We do a conversion behind the scene to ensure that the robots fully understand what this attorney is about, what everything about them through using meta tags and other things like that to be able to communicate and understand that Google, when they show a snippet of that particular person's website, they're going to actually say, a Harley rider here to represent you in the state of Florida. So it's going to be a little bit more than just a normal one. And so
That's
even with the
cool.
same attorney, to say like that same attorney is also into surfing on the same website, but then we go after the surfing aspect. So then what happens? And now you're going to see in Google, they say attorney in Florida who understands surfing and understands you can't get hurt in surfing, someone that you may want to contact. So it's using it that way.
Okay.
So.
And so is this a long-term relationship you have with your clients? Do they sign up for, like, is it a contract or is it month to month? How does it work?
Yeah, so what we do is that we want to be able to, we understand that SEO is very, very expensive.
Yes.
And we also understand that there's a lot of firms out there that are taking advantage of attorneys and taking advantage of companies. So what we want to do is that we want to bring our 25 years of experience and say, look, we're not only know that we can do the job and do it right, we're going to give it at a very substantial discount. So we're like 25% of what the market bears for the first 6 months of someone working with us. And we feel like during that 6 month time frame, we're going to show you and we're going to bring you customers and we're going to make it to a point to where if you're receiving one new client a month or 2 new clients a month after 6 months, you're going to want to stay with us. And then at that point in time, it's a month-to-month contract. So we don't hold anyone in. We don't try to force them to stay in. But we are definitely looking at 5-year, 6-year kind of plans when we work with someone. It's all about long-term for us, for sure.
And you guys just became an official member benefit of the Florida Bar.
Yes, yeah. That was a blessing right there. You know,
Oh, yeah.
we came in and we were able to present ourselves and we were able to talk about the mathematical aspect of actually the SEO thing, and not only just, and also bringing in the personalization of it as well.
Right.
And we were given the opportunity to be able to present and offer this service to all the bar members. So
That's
it's really nice.
And I think that, another neat thing is that you're taking a lot of the burden off of the attorneys to try and figure this stuff out and try and stay up on it. Because every single day you see in the news that Google's changing something with the way they work, and you guys will just go out and handle that for them.
That is a really good point. That's a really good point. That's what we did on our little article that we put on the Florida Bar's website. We said, there's over 600 changes that happen in Google, so therefore that means that there's probably 2 happening in a day.
Right.
So there's no way that you're out there doing your law practice and doing things like that. You're not going to keep up with what's happening. So that's what we're here for, to be able to look out for the attorneys and be able to offer that service for them. And then through that aspect, what happens as a byproduct of it, which we kind of starting to see this coming up, is that by our robots going in and checking to see how the website's performing, we also are spotting leaking opportunities where people can come in and maybe breach a website as well. So as a byproduct of what we're doing, we're plugging up holes to actually stop people from coming in and taking information and sharing with other people. So that's been like a little bit of a bonus to some of the attorneys to say, wow, this is great, because this is a hot topic right now, this whole breach
Absolutely.
aspect. So,
Yeah.
That's a very nice extra.
yeah, it's nice.
Very cool.
Well, so tell our listeners the name of your company, how they can find you on the internet.
All right, yes. Our company is 360 BizView, and we created that because we really believe that every company, the brand, who you are, it should be a 360 view of it. And that 360 view should be one that is consistent. So every time someone comes to your website, they need to have a consistent experience as one who came beforehand. So that means then that the operating system needs to operate fast enough so that where they get the same experience on speed, they get the same experience as far as the technology is concerned. Phone call, they make a phone call to call your office, they get greeted the exact same way, they say the same logo. So it's all about consistency. So we create 360 BizView to help attorneys to be able to see how their brand looks offline as well as online, and ensure those 2 things match together. And we can be reached at 360 BizView. It's going to be 360bizvue.com. We can be reached there as well.
Okay, that's great. This has been another edition of the Florida Bar Podcast, brought to you by the Practice Resource Institute on Legal Talk Network. And I want to thank Wayne Bell for joining us and sharing us this information. Also, you will be able to see Wayne in our CLEs that will be available on the Florida Bar website through the Young Lawyers Division. So we look forward to that as well. If you liked what you heard today, please rate us in the iTunes. I'm Christine Bilbrey.
And I'm Jonathan Israel. Until next time, thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Florida Bar Podcast, brought to you by the Florida Bar's Practice Resource Institute and produced by the broadcast professionals at Legal Talk Network. If you'd like more information about today's show, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com, subscribe via iTunes and RSS. Find the Florida Bar Practice Resource Institute, and Legal Talk Network on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Or download the free app from Legal Talk Network in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.